Erin Tennant, welcome to the Carrie Cross Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
You know what I love more than anything?
What?
A
Tell
good SOS inspo story. And we haven't had one of these in a minute.
Well, so I'm happy to be here and share mine.
I am very excited.
Yeah.
So let's start with, you have battled with your weight for how long?
My whole life. Since I can remember as a child and looking at pictures. Now, what's interesting is with my mental health coach, I'm looking at pictures. And at the time that I started dieting, my parents, my mother put me on a diet, was like 7 or 8. I have a 9-year-old daughter. I wasn't even overweight.
And you know, you look back on that and you're like,
your face said everything. No one can see Carrie's face, but like it said everything.
You will, because I can clip it and show it. But it reminded me of my friend whose mom put her on Weight Watchers when she was that young. And again, I think parents, for the most part, do the best they can with what they have.
Absolutely.
But it really does set the tone. How do you possibly wrap your little 7 or 8-year-old brain around being on a diet, right? It's like, we act this way as adults, where it's like, if I can't have this, like I'm going to shove my face. At 7 or 8, you don't have the capability. So how did that set the tone for you?
I was very confused on what was happening. Now, to give your listeners a little backstory, I 100% agree with you. I had to go through a lot of therapy and mental health coaching to make peace with some things, and especially my relationship with my mother. She's passed away since, and my dad, and all things are well, but they did the best that they could at the time with what they had.
Yeah.
And my mom struggled with bipolar and personality and mood disorder. So there was a lot of ups and downs. There was very little regulation. And it was difficult and a very complicated relationship. So I think she projected, now as an adult looking back, projected a lot of her own issues with food and her body and herself onto me.
Which a lot of times does happen.
And we do.
You know?
And I'm sure I'm saving up for my daughter's therapy bill. You know, we do things subconsciously that we're not aware of. That I truly do believe it was not done maliciously. Right. It was done to help me.
Yeah.
But it was actually counterproductive and very destructive.
So you end up having a pretty unhealthy relationship with food, with your self-image growing up.
Correct.
And continued into adulthood.
And I dieted my whole life, and then tried to lose weight, was successful with diets sometimes, but could never keep it off. And I think my highest was 310, 307, around there. And I finally was like, okay, I have to do something. And I lost some weight and lingered around the 250s, 270 area. And then we were talking earlier, I was pregnant with my 3rd child. And I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm going to continue. And I was in a bigger body, but it's not like I'm sitting eating pizza for breakfast with cake. It's not like I wasn't moving my body. I went to a gym. I walked on a treadmill. I ate salads. But I had some self-sabotaging and some sneaky behaviors, and I was very restrictive during the day and would binge at night.
And that doesn't count at night.
No.
You know what I mean? It's amazing what we'll do.
Yeah.
But I ate really well today.
I ate really well.
And you hear yourself, and you did. That's part of the equation. You did eat really well today until you threw your face into a double chocolate cake.
Because as a child, no one taught me how to be self-aware of my feelings and then trust myself to and have the coping mechanisms to regulate my emotions. So I used food. And I never called myself an emotional eater, because I was like, I don't sit in front of the TV and cry and eat food. And, you know, I ate food all the time because I didn't want to feel my emotions.
Right.
So pregnant with the 3rd child, went in for a routine appointment, 7 months pregnant. Doctor, my amazing doctor, she couldn't find the heartbeat, which was not uncommon for me with my other 2 kids and pregnancies I've had. It took a while, you know, for whatever reason. And she's like, well, let's go to the ultrasound room and let's just check. And she's like, I can't have you walk out of my office without just hearing the heartbeat. So let's go. And I was like, cool, we've done this before, no problem. Go in there, see the screen, and I see him, my son Max, and I knew something was wrong. Because usually when you see them on an ultrasound screen, they're moving. They're kind of like there's a different movement. He was almost like floating. And I was like, oh shit, this is not good. And my doctor's like, I need you to go to the emergency room right now. I need you to go to the hospital, or I can call you an ambulance. We need to get you because this machine is showing me that there's something wrong. Like, she wouldn't even say it, but I knew. And I was like, oh, fuck, okay. So I went to the hospital. They declared that he was dead. And at that time, when you're 7 months pregnant, you have to deliver the baby. So I had to go into labor and deliver the baby. And it was, for all those moms out there, I always said that was one of my worst nightmares, my worst fears. And when it came true, I was just like in complete denial. And I remember looking at my husband and like tears, like the first time I've cried in years. And I was like, I don't think I can get through this.
First time you cried in years, really?
Yeah,
You're not a
I'm
crier.
not a crier.
I'm over here already sobbed.
Yeah,
like,
no. Like, okay. I now will start to cry. But I was sobbing in tears. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to recover from this. Like, I don't know if I can, like, get myself up. And I've dealt with adversity. I've dealt with trauma. I've dealt with tragedy. My mom got sick in my 20s, and I was her caregiver for 8 years. Like, she was paralyzed pretty much, and I was her full-time caregiver. So I've dealt with a lot of stuff. There's been drug addiction in the family. There's been sexual abuse. There's been a lot of stuff. Seen it. So it wasn't my first day at the rodeo, but this was something very different. And that was the first time I ever said, I didn't think I could make it. I didn't think I could do it. So when you go through something like that, you see how fragile life is. You see how quickly it can be taken from you.
And let's pause for a minute for the small percentage of men and women who have been in that room.
Yeah.
And know what that feels like to hold your baby, because it there's a before that and an after that. You're never the same. I mean,
I couldn't hold him. That's one of my biggest regrets. I couldn't touch him. I could not. I wanted to so bad, but my body could not move. And I was afraid if they put him in my hands, I was going to drop him. I could not attach myself to him.
Yeah.
But I still I have his box, and we opened it as a family on his birthday and everything, but I still sometimes feel detached from it.
It's a coping mechanism because it truly is too much. It's too much, and we won't go too far down the rabbit hole, but it's too much for a person to go through. So to ever judge the way someone is able to cope or not cope, it's like, of course you felt like you're going to melt into the floor. You weren't even really in your body at that moment. It really is. So again, just a moment for anyone who's knows what that feels like, because that's the rawest, most real, terrible life experience, that no one should ever have to deal with.
And you're not alone.
No, you're not.
And you did nothing wrong.
Right.
And we were talking earlier about control.
Yeah.
And this is the moment you
wrong.
realize I don't have the control that I walk around every day thinking I have.
Yeah. So Max.
Yes.
Okay. So this happens. Now you're recovering physically from a pregnancy and mentally, and just I'm sure you just felt like you were in a puddle of just all kinds of wreckage, right?
Yes.
How did you move forward, and what happened then?
I was very lucky. I was already in therapy. So I called my husband called my therapist and was like, she's coming, I'm dropping her off Monday. Like, it was over the weekend. Like, she was like, if she needs to see me sooner, I'll be there. Like, whatever she needs. And
I'm dropping her off. I got a bag.
Yeah.
I've got a couple meals packed, and she's going to stay for a couple days.
She's going to live her best couple lives with you. Like, she needs all the help. But I went to that appointment, and I'm so grateful that I had mental health support. And I didn't really, quote unquote, need it. There was nothing going on at the time. I just used it. I got a therapist when my mom got sick, and I was a caregiver, and I was grieving the loss of my mother. And I was in a relationship with my therapist for, over 6 years at that time. And I just kept going. And I was like, well, I'll probably need it. So let's just keep it going. And thank God, because it was already set up. I was there. And lots of denial. I told her, I could not cry, I think, about it. I cried the first time I initially found out, and then it was months after. I think it was the first time when we actually we buried him, but then when we went back, because I'm Jewish and we buried him in a Jewish cemetery, then you have a viewing. And when we went to the viewing, I was able to like let some of the pain go. But one of the things we talked about in therapy is his life didn't have to be in vain. So how do I want to pay tribute to him? How do I want to honor him? How do I want to feel connected with him? Because I'm always going to be his mom in this world or another world, in this life, another life. And so and when I talk about this, I get emotional. So the tears are going to come. Yeah. How was I going to pay tribute? And we went through like, do you want a bird feeder? Do you want a plant? Do you want to like anything? And I was like, none of this is really speaking to me.
The bird feeders, the rocks, the statues, none of those. Yeah. I mean, it's very nice.
If they do, God bless.
For me, they were very triggering, but like I know for some people it does. Yeah.
Yeah. And a friend and two beautiful friends got me a wind chime that's on my front porch. And every time I hear it, I think of him and I love it. Mm-hmm. But I wanted something that no one else could be a part of. It was just for him and me. And I was like, well, what's the one thing I can promise him that means the world to me and could mean the world to him? And I said, I'm going to live the life that I've always wanted for myself. So, because he didn't have the opportunity to have the time on this earth. So I was going to do everything that I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, when I wanted to do it. And so it started with the low-hanging fruit, which was my weight. I wanted to lose the weight for years. I was going to fucking do it. I was going to give myself all the time and space to figure out the how. And it wasn't going to be a diet. It was going to be my way that I could do forever. I could still eat chocolate. I could still enjoy food. I can go out to dinner. I was going to figure it out. So that was the start of it. And I had a friend and I started, I got back to the gym. I started eating more salads. But again, you can still do that and not lose weight. So I, at the time, had a coworker and she said, Courtney, God love her. She said to me, come to System of Strength with me. And I said, Courtney, I love you. Thank you so much. But why do you think my fat ass is going to be able to do any of that shit? She goes, you're probably not, but you should still come. And I said to her, I said something along the lines of, yeah, I just don't think I can do it. And she said, well, do you want to do it? And I said, yeah. Obviously, these people are fucking beasts. They're athletes. Like, of course I want to do what they're doing and look like them and be like them. She goes, well, if you want what they have or you want to be them, you got to be with them.
I like Courtney.
Yeah, Courtney is a great.
Shout out to Courtney.
Yeah, Courtney, I'm going to send you this and you better listen.
I love it.
Because you're the start of this. And she said, if you want to be like them, if you want to look like them, be like them, whatever it is, then you have to be with them. You have to be doing what they're doing. So whether you can do it or not, just start by showing up and I'll go with you. And I was like, perfect.
What a friend.
What a great friend. She holds a very special place in my heart. So I went. My first class was with Darcy, High and Tight. Holy shit, it was.
So hold on, let's just rewind. So everyone who walks in SOS, there's so much insecurity.
So much insecurity.
Like, it's like, I'm the biggest one here. Yes. I'm the most out of shape one here. You're scanning the room because these people are
fit.
Ridic, right? Yes. So describe the internal dialogue when you're walking into Darcy Wyans' class, by the way, and it's High and Tight. You walk in and you're like, what?
There was a feeling of vomit coming up in my mouth. There was a trauma response of running out the door. There was some dizziness and I felt hot instantly without even the heaters. I was just like, I'm not supposed to be here. Because I did look very different. I was over 250 pounds. I wasn't physically fit. I wasn't lean. No muscle on my body that you could see. And I was like, I don't belong here. But I was like, I'm going to give it one shot. And Darcy was so kind, came up to me, introduced herself, said your first time.
Hold on, let me get the checklist out. Did she? Okay,
she did everything she was supposed to do. Yeah.
Did she describe this? Did she describe the?
Yeah, and she said, listen, the first time is hard for everybody. So just expect that there may be modifications. I'll be watching you a lot because you're new. I want to make sure you don't injure yourself, you don't hurt yourself. And we want you to come back. We want you to have an enjoyable experience. So just do the best you can. And if you need modifications, I will be around and I'll help you. And she said, even just being under the heat, you're getting a workout.
Darcy Wyan, you're a real one, girl.
Yes.
You're
Amazing.
a real one.
And I was like, I'm listening to her, whatever she says I'm doing. So that was my first class and I loved it. And I laid there half the time. I just laid there with my head on my mat, just like, it's so hot. But it was awesome. Then I was like, okay, well, let me check out some other classes. So my second class that I ventured off to was Strong or Stronger, and that was with Gabe.
You mean Control?
Control. Thank you.
Okay, yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
With Gabe. And he holds a very special place in my heart because when I went there, he came up to me, introduced himself like Darcy, said, haven't seen you here before. Thank you so much. Talk to me a little bit, like, what are your goals? Like, have you had any experience? Do you have any injuries? And I kind of told him my story, and he's like, okay, I'm going to put you in front. I'd like you to be up front with me for the first couple classes because I want to make sure that you don't injure yourself. You want to be here long term. You want to get the results you want are going to take some time. So the last thing we want you to do is to be injured so you leave and you don't come back. So I'm going to be here to give you modifications. If I see your form is getting shitty, I'm going to give you lighter weights and just go. And I'm telling you, Gabe and I built a very special bond. I felt very safe with him.
Damn it. You know, so back about a couple podcasts ago with Gretchen, we did Fuck, Marry, Kill, and I killed Gabe. And now I feel like I should resuscitate him.
You should resuscitate him because
Gabe, I'm resuscitating you, and you are back for this alone.
And I want to say, all of your instructors, I'm calling out Darcy and Gabe, but they were all like that. They were all, but sometimes we just connect with people. But I will say, out of all of them, Gabe was the one who really made me feel seen and heard and validated. And that was something that really spoke to me because I wasn't even validating myself. I wasn't even seeing myself. I wasn't even honoring myself. And if he could do that for me, and he showed me that, then I could start doing it for myself.
Nice.
So,
well done, Gabe.
Yes. So I've reached out to him. We've had side conversations, and I just absolutely adore that man because he went above and beyond to keep me there as long as possible. And so I stayed and I got stronger and I noticed my body changing and I noticed I wanted to eat different things and it just, the transformation started to happen and I got more confident in myself and my body and I started being more outwardly friendly to others and making friendships and connections, and it just got better and better.
So your little badass whisper started to talk louder and louder.
Better. Yeah.
Did you take advantage of the system, or did you get into like a niche where you would like only do a specific class?
I took advantage of the system to some degree. Like I was like, fuck the course. Like that's above my pay grade. Like I can't do that. Now I probably can. But then I was like, no. So my 3 go-tos were High and Tight, Control. What was the hit one again? I'm having like Clocked. I have a love-hate relationship with Clocked. I did it sometimes like when I couldn't get into a class and that was like the only availability. But one that I still love and dream about was the yoga. And Under the Heat with the candles and Beyonce, I was like, all the man buns, the sweaty man buns surrounding me. I felt at home. I was like, these people know what I want.
Right.
Yeah.
They're serving it up.
Yeah. So this was the beginning, and I did it all the way up until COVID. Then we went digital, and I still have on my fridge, "You are a badass." You guys wrote postcards to all your clients from the SOS team. It's almost 4 years old. It's on my fridge still. And I did digital. I had a hard time with digital, not because of anything SOS. That's just my personality. I need to hear the music. I need to be with the people.
Yeah.
So
the thing with SOS that I feel, I mean, it's why we've lasted for as long as we have. It really does teach you that you can do hard things and that you are one of those people. And like just hearing your experience, walking in there feeling overweight and out of shape and so just down on yourself. And then to hear sort of how it was more than a workout. It was people pulling you saying, "Hey, Erin, you know what? We see you. You can do this." I mean, that's the brand.
Yeah.
It's
we
like,
believe in you.
Right. Because here's the thing. If you don't feel like you can do something hard
You're not
in the
do
studio, what are you doing in life?
Yeah.
Like how you do one thing is how you do everything. So the sooner you start to think, okay, well, there will be challenges, there will be roadblocks, and you start to sort of see it as more of a healthy challenge than, oh God. And that's what System Strength is about. It's you have a badass inside of you, and you can unleash it or not.
Yeah. And I think it's also more than that too. It's just, there's a lot of acceptance too. I don't know if you guys intentionally went in there, but like when the classes, if I love the levels and the modifications, and if you have a surgery, if you're new to fitness, if you're not feeling well, you're coming off of like they throughout the class would say, you are the expert of your body and yourself. So get in tune with how you feel. And if today is not that day that you push, cool. Just show up and do the best you can. But if today's the day you push, we got you and we're going to push you. And you honored all of us in that practice. So I was very appreciative of that, because I think sometimes it can come off as hard, but that was not my experience. It was a very loving, it taught me to be loving to myself, be kind to myself, be compassionate, be self-aware. And this is not a sprint. This is a marathon.
Right. So everything, I read this book recently. So, and they call it the Whisper brand. Everyone has a Whisper brand. So like what people say behind your back. So SOS has a Whisper brand, right? So people will say, oh, it's so hard, or, oh, it's, pounding. There's all these like, it's a cult. There's things people say that sort of are created either from people who don't want to come in, or maybe, but really what we made a real concerted effort was to say, okay, wait, how do we include everyone? And that's really where the levels were born. Yeah. And how do we stop talking about like the way you look in a bikini? That type of language we consider to be negative language. It's like, I don't want to stand up there and be like, okay, get bikini ready for the summer. It's like, no, like how are you going to create a system of strength or a foundation inside of you that has all these, that's about discipline and doing it anyway when you don't feel like it, and whatever. Like it's so much more. Yeah. And I'm so happy to hear, like, it just makes me feel so much joy to hear you had that experience.
Yeah. And as an owner of this business, yes, you guys should be very proud of yourselves, because whatever your intentions were, and if that's aligning with that, then yes, those core values definitely met me. And if it met me, it met many other people. Yeah. And there was a lot of talk about just honoring yourself in this moment, whatever that looks like. And I really appreciated that language and talk, because yes, I wanted to lose weight, but it was more than that. It gave me a space to really live a life, like you said, that I was finally aligned with and I valued. It also gave me a space to dump out my grief. Like some people cry, I fucking lifted weights. Every pound I shed was like an ounce of pain that I felt from the loss of my son. It was a place that I could be angry, I could be mad, I could be sad, I could be depressed, I could be anxious, I could be overwhelmed, and I could get that all out in a safe, non-judgmental place where everyone else was doing something along the lines. I look at movement as a way to release your emotional energy. Because we all have emotions and you have to process it one way or another. Some people write, some people do music. Movement is one of the most therapeutic practices for the human species. Doesn't mean you have to run. It doesn't mean you have to do crazy intense stuff. You could do yoga. You could meditate. You could swim. You could walk. But moving your body is a therapeutic practice. And it's a healthy coping mechanism.
And it's so funny, when we train trainers, the first thing we have is this together we are stronger conversation. And we try to weed out the trainers that just care about the superficial. And it's really, talking about every single person that's walking through the door is carrying something. Yeah. And so, you're carrying, that's a lot for one person to carry, but multiply that by 30. Yeah. And you're all in there together, like doing that together. Yeah. And so to have the awareness, like as a trainer, to understand that there are 30 stories in this room and I'm the orchestrator, that completely changes their behavior. Yeah. As opposed to just training them like, hey, this is a 60-minute clocked, get them to sweat, put on your best playlist. I mean, that's very cheap and very transactional.
Yeah.
And dare I say, just it's a commodity. It's like whatever. Anybody could do that.
Yeah.
The other, the deeper part of this, and what's so cool too is going back to like you walking in feeling that way and seeing someone who looks like Darcy Wyan. That is like, oh my God, she's so, but she made you feel by the way she engaged with you so at home and so comfortable. Imagine if she didn't have that Together We Are Stronger foundation and she was just this, it really is the difference maker.
Yeah.
For the brand.
Eye contact, listening, empathy. These are like, I didn't say in the beginning, but I'm a certified health and well-being coach. And some major skill sets that we use in coaching: mindful listening, empathy, and eye contact, and validating people's experiences, and holding space for people. This is all things that your staff, your trainers, your team, your brand did for me. And it goes a long way. And I think in any business, any brand, people need it. It's the way you make people feel. That's why I stayed there.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to come back with just life and routine, but it's like on my brain. It's on my calendar. I have it written on a Post-it note. I am coming back.
That was my next question. When are we getting you?
Yes.
When are we going to reel you back in?
I'm coming. Like, I don't know the exact date, but I am coming because I have a desire to take the classes and see how far I've come. Mm-hmm. But I would have not been here if it wasn't for SOS, because you guys taught me so much more than I ever imagined about myself, about healing, about just life. And being a human being and the struggles, and having a safe space to let it out, and falling in love with movement and exercise, because I never fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Until I really got to SOS, and I'm like, I like doing hard things. Who the fuck am I? Like, why am I saying this shit? But truly, like, I started to crave it. I started to desire it. Mm-hmm. And this day, I still weightlift. I still do the same moves. I love compound movements. I love the playlist. I love the music. I love the vibe. I love everything. I love the realness, the authenticity. And what was really cool was it was like about a year, and I noticed people in bigger bodies were coming. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know if that's a universal thing. I don't know law of attraction. I don't know if a friend saw me there and told their friend who's in a bigger body, hey, come to this class with me. Like, it's cool. There's other people here. Or maybe they didn't say anything, but subconsciously they're like, come to this class. But I started noticing people of different ages, different sizes, different races, and that different genders and identities. And that made me feel good. It just got more inclusive and inclusive. And I love inclusive environments because we all deserve the same thing.
Yep. So you physically transformed too significantly. And you said, how much weight did you lose?
I've lost and maintained over 130 pounds for, it's been about 4 years, 5 years.
I'm sure nutrition had a lot to do with it too.
A lot. I would say the majority of it is nutrition when we are looking to lose weight, 80-20%. But what people don't realize is movement will get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
There's something very powerful when you start honoring your body's desire to move, because we are meant to move. We are not meant to be sitting down all the time. We're meant to be moving as a species. You start to crave things. You desire things. You respond to things differently. So even though it may not have the same direct correlation, because again, I was moving, but I was still eating like shit and not seeing the number on the scale. And then once I changed, but I didn't diet. Like I said, I'm not following a diet. So what I did was I did something I call food uniforming, which I got from a health coach, where I make sure I eat consistently throughout the day, and I make sure I'm getting fiber and protein at every meal. But notice how I said I wasn't not eating things. So I would still get carbs. Like, for example, I love bagels. I'm Jewish. I'm going to eat bagels. So I'm either going to get a protein bagel, or with cream cheese and eggs and fruit and all the things. Or if I don't have a protein bagel, I'm at Block's or Sammy's, I'm going to just make sure I eat it with eggs, or make sure I get a protein smoothie with it, or protein in my coffee somehow with a Premier Protein. And that way I don't have to calorie count. I don't have to macro count. I just focus on, am I eating fiber and am I eating protein?
What is your thought process around the Ozempic craze? And like, what would you tell, like if somebody comes in, like, what do you think about that?
What do I think about that?
As someone who's like gradually lost all this weight and done this heavy lifting and like what?
Yeah. This is what I have to say about this.
Hold on.
It's actually not gonna. I think it's gonna surprise people.
Put the ball on the tee.
You're
I
right.
think it'll probably be inclusive.
Yeah, I think that if it's a tool, it is a tool, which means it will help you get to a place you want to go in your weight loss. It won't do it for you long term. You have to change your relationships with food, your body, yourself. You have to look at what you're eating, how you're eating. You have to think about yourself in terms of an identity. That's why System of Strength spoke to me, because I said I always wanted to be an athlete, but I didn't feel like I had the personality, the drive, the desire, the genetic makeup, the body, whatever. I had this resistance to it. So I wanted to be an athlete. So if you want to be someone who does not struggle with your weight, going on a drug or getting a surgery or using a tool and doing nothing else is not going to help you long term. It'll help you short term. It'll get the ball rolling, but it's not going to help you. You have to take on the behaviors and the habits of the identity of whom you want to become.
Yep.
So as an athlete, I eat like an athlete. I eat a lot of food. I eat frequently. I eat a lot of protein. I eat a lot of fiber. I eat a lot of complex carbohydrates. I drink a lot of water. I rest. I do different types of exercises with my body because long term, when I'm 80, I want to be doing as many things physically as I possibly can. So that's really my spiel on that, is that if that speaks to you, go ahead. But it is not going to fix what the weight represents to you. Because the weight meant to me, what the weight really meant to me specifically was I was not living an authentic life. I was hiding. That's my story. It might mean something for someone else. Don't generalize everyone's, experience with weight in their body. But for me, it meant I was hiding. And if I could lose the weight, I could actually be the person, take on the identity, the athlete, the strong, the fit, the committed, the disciplined, the dedicated person who was confident, who could handle self-doubt and fear, and just be a well-rounded human being with the good, the bad, the ugly, and be able to move forward and enjoy their life. That's who I wanted to be. So I have to get mental health coaching. I have to eat regularly. I have to move my body. I have to take care of myself. So I think, again, if you want to use tools, knock yourself out, but do not rely on them. You have to do the deeper dive. You have to dig a little deeper to really say, what are my thoughts about myself? How do I really feel about myself? What are my behaviors and habits really represent?
You're right. You got a deep sea dive on that.
And if you don't want to, God bless, that's fine too. But then don't waste your money and time taking a drug.
Honey,
that is not going to help.
I've seen so many people on it. Like I literally saw someone again, a new person the other day. And I was like, oh, hell. I'm like, she straight up did some Ozempic, right? But then I saw her and we were talking and she's like, yeah, I did it. And I'm like, I respected that because a lot of people are just pretending like they didn't. But when you see someone who's of average weight and then like maybe 3 weeks later they look like they've lost about 20 pounds out of the blue. I mean, it's kind of a surefire sign that you're doing something. And again, my name's Paul and that's between y'all. That's my stance, but I'm with you that you're only, if you aren't looking at the bigger picture, because you're going to eat again. This just in. Is this on? You're going to eat again.
And you should eat because it's fuel
and you
need food.
All this mitochondria rolling around. The shit needs nutrition, right? So you're going to eat again. So that's my only thing is sort of setting yourself up for this unrealistic thing. And then you find once the ball stops rolling, I worry for people who the ball ends up rolling back farther than it was before. And so then you're in a bigger deficit in terms of your mental health and everything else. But again, I get the allure, I get the appeal, and I have no judgment. I just observe, and I'm like, you just hope that people can
and
see the bigger picture.
What's the point? Like, what is it about you being smaller that's going to make your life happier? Because listen, I'm 130 pounds smaller and I still struggle.
Yeah.
I still have bad days. I still have a shit ton of anxiety. I still have ADD. I still have trauma that I get triggered by. The weight did not fix that. I still have moments where I'm like, I don't like my body. I don't like the way I look. Mm-hmm. So what is really being smaller going to do? Because all your thoughts and feelings about yourself, they have to truly change from within, not outside.
Amen. Truly, amen.
Yeah.
Where can people find you if they want to work with you?
Yeah, for sure. So you can find me on Insta. That's like where I hang out. I'm not really a Facebooker, but if you message me or find me, I'm on Facebook. I have to remember.
I'll tag you.
Okay.
I'll tag you.
But I'll try to put out the correct information.
Yep.
So I have a website and I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn and all the places. So my website is www.thegrowwellcoach.com.
Okay.
So they can book a consultation. It's free. It's just it's a conversation.
Yep.
What are you looking for? How can I help?
Okay.
Sometimes it's not even with me. I'll find another health coach for them that'll better be suited because everyone's got different needs and I'm a little bit of a specialty. So I understand that. They can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at Grow Well Coaching.
Okay. I think you could probably help a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Right?
And I might not be everyone's flavor, and that's fine
no
too.
No one's everyone's flavor.
No.
If you are, you need to work on some spice because you don't want to be everybody's flavor.
If you have a calling and you're like, shit, maybe I should change the way I eat or how I think about food, my relationships, movement, my body, I am every night sitting on the couch and eating endless amounts of food, and I don't like that.
Yep.
Or I feel out of control with food. I don't like the number on the scale. These are the things that people are drawn to me. They come to me, kind of talk about my processes, what I offer. A lot of it has to do with setting up priorities, digging deep. Like we do a lot of visualization, kind of identifying what you actually want, what you desire, who you want to be, the identity, so we can get some clues. And then we use that to start making smart goals.
Yeah, to inform what you're doing. Right. That sounds like it makes a lot of sense to me.
So I don't have like a program. I'm not like, you have to eat 4 ounces of chicken and 6 ounces of broccoli and you got to work out I don't do any of that. What do you want? Tell me what you're looking for, what you want. And through my coaching skills, I will help invite you to work on a plan together. And along the way, we'll deal with the obstacles, the challenges, we'll celebrate the wins to get you the transformation you're looking for.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And with that, before we close, I do want to thank you for being a part of System of Strength.
Yes.
We're honored to have been whatever part of your journey.
Huge
that
part.
we were. Like that's, it's huge.
I still have SOS on my cup there. I mean, it's everywhere.
But it's everything. So thank you for being a client and coming back and continuing to do the work.
Yeah.
And with that, guys, if you want to continue to follow me on YouTube.
And listen, I was just telling Carrie, being on a podcast is fucking hard to get downloads and YouTube channels and subscriptions. So she is killing it.
Thank you. I'm really working on my YouTube game. You can follow me on Spotify and you can also follow me on Apple. And until next time, keep moving. Oh, and by the way, Gabe, call me.
I love it.